Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to go through all of the jigs and appliances and adapters that I've made using mag switches, or the new term mag jigs. So if you're new to the channel and you've not heard of these, today you're going to see a quick review of everyone. I'm going to try and do this all 1 minute for each one of them, so we'll see how I do. Oh, stop the presses. I was just on the Magswitch website. They have 25% off for the month of April 2026. So if you're in the market for any of these things that I've shown you, or the mag switch itself, individual mag switches, 25% off till the end of April 2026. So if you're watching this after, that sale will be off, but that's a huge saving. So you may want to check that out. I will put links in the description box for sure, and on the article in Woodwork Web. Okay, before I get started, I just want to do a quick review. So these are magnetic switches. You turn the little handle on top and it locks them down onto a steel deck. There's a few different sizes. These are 90s. And these are 150s. These are the ones that I highly recommend. These are not quite as strong. I typically would use these for my dust collector things. But whenever I'm using any of my jigs, I'm using the 150s, and I'm always using 2 of them. They're manufactured so that they fit inside a 3/4 inch piece of wood. So if you've got plywood that's 3/4 of an inch, it fits perfectly in there. Now, what they tell you is to drill a 1 5/8 hole, and you can do that. The problem with that is they spin around. Now, you've got a couple places that you can put screws in, or you can just hold it and lock it down, and that works fine. What I do with mine, I drill 2 1 3/8 holes with a 3/8 offset, and look at, I can just drop them in there and lock them down. I don't have to worry about holding them or putting screws in. So it's a very super quick way of putting these into the wood. Now, the other thing that I do, if you look at the bottom, you'll see a little bit of rubber, a little rubber circle on there. And what I do with that is I have some double-sided carpet tape, anti-skid carpet tape. You can see it's very super thin, and this is the kind that I use, but there's, you can get different kinds of it as long as it's super thin. And when you put that on the bottom, these things just lock in place. You can't, because all of these jigs rely on not an upward pull, but a sideways, and that anti-skid material on there just locks that on there. I'm starting off with my reciprocating belt sander. And the first thing I want to show you is the dust collector that I adapted for this. Now, these come with a dust collector, but I found them very ineffective. This was sent in by a subscriber, this idea, and then I adapted the mag jigs to it. So now you can move this around anywhere, because all of the dust comes off here, and you can lock that down anywhere just by doing that. And not only that, it's dual purpose, and you'll see that coming up. The second thing I adapted, now I should also remind you, I put a steel deck on here. It's very thin steel plate. I was stunned how quick and easy it was to do that. But now I have much more options when I'm making jigs. Now, this one, again, a dual purpose. So if for example, if I'm using dowels and I want to put a chamfer or run it to a point, or make for example, a tenon on the end of it, I can do that just because this is at 45 degrees, and I can set that easily to adapt to that. But I can do more with that, because if I move this over to here and lock it down, now I can use this as an adapter for when I'm making legs, table legs, for example, and I want to chamfer all of the bottoms of these. Not only does it look good, but it actually saves the wood from whenever the chair moves around. If you don't do that, little pieces of wood start coming up there. That's a long historic thing to do. And you can do that very quickly and easily, accurately, just by doing that. Now, the last jig that I have, and this is a fairly recent modification, this is for And again, I'll put my Mag Jigs in here like this. What this is here, I've got a roller on here, and this is for running thin strips, sanding thin strips through. So the way this works, I can put this up like this, lock that down. Now, when you're running thin strips through the sander, you always want to go against the grain. With every tool you do that. And in this case, because there's a roller there, if this happens to hit the roller for any reason, it just spins this. It doesn't chew it up, and it works amazingly well. Would help if I got on the right side. Anyway, I won't finish up with that, but you can see that you can get a nice even finish all the way along there. It sands just beautifully. So I've now moved over to my router table, and what I have on my router table, I have a fence that you can lock in any position. It's rock solid because I adapted my router table to have a steel deck, and you can see that there. Again, it wasn't that difficult to do. The main reason I went to a steel deck is because all of the MDF decks, most router tables have compressed MDF, compressed wood, and they all eventually sag in the middle. And I've gone through 2 of them, and I thought, no more am I going to have any more sagging router tables. I went to a steel deck, and that meant I needed to adapt something, and now I'm absolutely thrilled to be able to move this fence at any position. It's easy to adjust, and the way I can do that, lock down one side and then just simply adjust one side like that, I can get absolute precision. It's locked, it's quick, it's easy. If I have to move the router table to a different side, or the router fence to a different side, it's really simple and easy to do. So I have a few more jigs here, and here is the second place that I use the dust collector, especially if you're using Forstner bits where you get these big fluffy flakes coming off. And again, you can set this anywhere and lock it down. Now, again, one of the things that I've done, I've modified the table on my drill press. And what I've done, of course, it came with a steel table, but I've taken and I've had a piece of metal cut, rounded the edges, and I have bolted it to my existing fence. So now I have a little bit wider space and a little bit deeper space to work with. And now I can use, and again, I have another, this is a fence set up, and the nice thing with this, I can set this up anywhere, and again, I can easily move it around if I need to modify it, lock the second one down, and that goes nowhere. It's super strong, super safe. This is this gets used every day. Just a really good safety device. If I'm cutting something vertically on my drill press, I don't want to have to take everything apart and flip the table on end. So what I've got, I've adapted a jig, and because it's wood and it's 3/4 inch, I can put my magnets in like that, set that around, and the only adjustment I need to do now, I'm not going to bother with it right now, but the only adjustment I need to do is to loosen it and just swing the whole table like this, and now this becomes vertical underneath the chuck, so that all I have to do is use a clamp. And again, if I'm using some sort of wood that I want to drill vertically, I lower the table down, it's now underneath the chuck, and I can drill into dowels in the top like that, and all I need to do is clamp this down. I have clamps right handy here, just like that. And now I can drill vertically into wood, really simply and easily, without sort of remodifying the entire fence system, just to drill 1 or 2 holes. Okay, now we turn to the table saw, and the first jig I'm showing you is a bowl making jig. Yes, you can make bowls on the table saw, and the way it works, you put your jig or your magnets in the back, and that will lock it to the deck. Now again, we've got a steel deck here on our table saw, and the way it works, this part here flips up and down, and you can make this any height you want. There is a video on this. I've made many bowls on the table saw. And the way it works is you align this with the vertical, the length and the width of the table saw so that the middle is right here. I do not use a 10-inch blade in this. So I lock it down, and what I have here is the bowl that I'm going to turn down here, and inside I've just screwed a block of wood with a hole in it, and we measure how far down. We take the blade below the deck, and then we measure how many cranks up you want to go, and in this case I would go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now again, I'm not using that blade. For this, I use what's called a wobble wheel. This is an adjustable dado blade. And the reason that I use this is because you get a much deeper bowl, and it's not as wide. If you're using a 10-inch blade, your bowl is going to be like this, that great big wide bowl, which I don't want, and there's tons of friction in this, whereas this one here is only an 8-inch, and you can see there's not, the teeth are much wider because it's a dado blade, and you get you can get a much narrower, a much deeper, just a better bowl all around. The way it works, you drive it all the way down, you put your, lock your thing in here, and then when you turn your saw on, you crank up 1 turn, spin it like that. So you're only taking very tiny cuts each time, and then you do 1 more. I usually do half turns, do a half turn, spin it 1 more time, and another half turn, until you get about 5 turns or whatever it is, whatever depth it is that you want to get to. And that's as easy as doing that. So this is my deflector, and the purpose of the deflector, and again, you can move this around, lock it down wherever you want, is when you're making little small cuttings, maybe you're making a chessboard, you need a bunch of little square pieces, you run them through, and as you run them through, the one behind pushes the rest of them out of the way so that they're not going to get nicked or hit by the table saw as you're going through them. And here is my original thin strip ripping jig. In the front of it, you can see there's a bolt with quite a big head. The purpose of that is you can move that up and figure out the distance between the end of that bolt head, rounded head, and the table saw blade. Then you lock that. There's a little nut there to lock it back. You move it back out of the way of the blade, lock it down, and now you just move your wood up and just barely kiss the front of that bolt and push that through, and you will get an exact cut every time of nice thin wood of whatever thickness you want. And this is my wheeled featherboard, and these are old inline skates. You can pick these up often at thrift stores, garage sales, for nothing or near nothing, and they work great. They're very easy to adapt. In this case, you can see that I've cut a little bit of an angle so that they slope down, and it's perfect because they help to grab the wood better. And if you're working on something that's fairly delicate, these are really nice because they don't scrape along like a featherboard does. They actually roll. So all you do is put a little bit of pressure on them, and as you'll be able to see the wheels moving like that as you move that through the wood and through the table saw. For some things, this is an invaluable featherboard for me. Another handy jig that I have is something called an L fence, or a duplicating fence. And it's called a duplicating fence because it duplicates the edge of this. You can see I've got clear plexiglass in here, and it's actually bulletproof glass, and I can adjust the fence, I can adjust my fence back and forth so that that blade is just barely underneath that wood or that plexiglass in there. Now the way this locks down, most of these fences like this is steel in here, so I can take that and lock that fence in there, and in case I need to move it back or forth, I can do that easily by unlocking it. Now the way this works is you basically figure out sort of where you want to cut. In this case, maybe I want to cut off this some or all of this live edge on here because it's pretty hard to work with the way it is. What I do is I lay down some anti-skid material. This stuff works great. And I lay that down sort of roughly where I want this to be. And now the fence is now, this is now my new fence because my wood now is going to ride against that, and all I need to do is push that through, and that's going to cut off all of that wood there, and there is no kickback from, because there's no pressure back there. There's no reason for kickback. When you push that wood through, it just lays there. So it's super safe, and it helps you get your wood in the kind of shape that you can use it. Now in this case, because it's straight on this side, I could have just turned it around, but sometimes you don't have that option because it might be live edge on both sides and it might be angled like this, so there's really not much you can do with it except use something like this. Now I don't have too much for the bandsaw. Of course, the diverter for cutting small pieces and another dust chute that I've shown you a couple times. What I do have is this vertical fence, and it's adjustable, which is really super handy because once in a while I've got a blade that has drift in it, and I can adjust for that drift by moving that around very quickly and easily back and forth. A really handy thing for mag switches. And well, we come to the last one here, and I'm almost embarrassed to show you this one, but remember some time ago, a few weeks ago or something, I made this really handy little trimming plane, and you can see how sharp it is there, and it actually works. You can, if you look closely, you can actually see it's actually doing some planing even on this very flat board. But and I don't know how I came to this revelation, but check this out. So it's held in with magnets, as you may already know, and there it is there. Pull it off there, pull that back like that. Check this out. After I spent 3 days making a gorgeous little plane, look at this. This works. This works equally well, and it's so stuck on there that you could, if you're cutting off pins, tops of dowels or something, it's just absolute, and it's a handle as well. I just can't believe that I spent all that time making this when this would do as good a job. Unbelievable. Well, that concludes my video for today. I hope I remembered all of the jigs that I've made over the almost 20 years now that I've been doing this. And I'll put a list of them. I'll try and put a list of them in the description box below, and on the article in Woodwork Web. You'll be able to go and have a look at these, and some of the pictures on Woodwork Web, I'm going to double them up because there'll just be too many of them. You'll be scrolling and scrolling. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed that. I'm Colin Canet for Woodwork Web. Thanks for watching.